It'd be quite easy, wouldn't it, to be like, actually, I'm sorry I've been an arsehole this morning. It's because of my grief.
It's a dead center.
Hello and welcome to It's a Death Sentence.
Hi there.
I'm Emma Skip.
I'm Carrie Smith.
So in this episode, I have found myself thinking today, how do we know the difference between what we are feeling and whether it's informed by our grief?
Okay.
It is a tough one. And so what I've done, Carrie, is I've written down some kind of like prompts for us to discuss because I'm quite interested to get your input. So I'll put this into some context. This morning, I had a really difficult morning. My young daughter was very stroppy and very difficult, and I lost my temper, which I try really hard not to do. I then proceeded to talk to their dad about it, and that just really pissed me off. And it wasn't helpful. And what I should have done is recognise that I can't change him. Blah, blah, blah. This goes on.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, having lost my dad in August, we're now in November, I am questioning all the time, is this grief?
Okay.
All the time. So for you, it's got to be the same. You know, you've had some time off work, you've had an injury, you've lost your brother. Your dad's very unwell. You know, we've got trials and tribulations that everybody has in their lives all the time, but I'm really interested to know how we perceive whether our choices and decisions are born out of the grief we're in or whether actually they just stand alone.
I think for me, I have found now I'm back at work, etc. I do feel like my patience is tested daily. I think that when you are in grief or in the throes of it, your tolerance is less for bullshit. And you sometimes reevaluate things and think, well, is it really worth it? And you end up losing your rag over stuff maybe that before you would have tolerated.
Yeah, maybe. I think, so let's talk about rage. So I always think the phrase anger is easier is a really good one. So I think humans, our nature is, if something is distressing, upsetting, whatever, it's much easier to remain in anger about it than it is to say, I am hurt, I am sad, I am upset.
Well, hurt people, don't they?
Yeah, that's
the saying.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. I think that it is easier to be angry. And I think to express your anger, it's a release.
Yeah.
You know.
It's very rare in my life I experience rage, and I think I was very close to that this morning, if not experienced it completely. But I've come away from it. You know, we've done our sorries and we've made up, and, you know, I recognise that I'm dealing with a child that's probably hormonal and all the rest of it. But I'm asking myself all the time, have I reacted in a way that is true to the situation or is okay for the situation? Or have I reacted because I'm running on some grief, some stress, so, you know, like all of the everyday factors, but underpinning all of that is this, you know,
massive loss,
which actually when you've got children, you don't really get to deal with that well. You just have to crack on. Keep on keeping on is, you know, a phrase we use a lot. And so I think, yeah, that was my question is our reaction to things. Is it when you are bereaved and in grief, does it always form part of your reaction to something?
I think it can. I think it definitely can impact on how you react to stuff. I think I would try not to overthink if it was an overreaction.
I'm not an overthinker.
Not at all.
Also, you know, there is the like hormonal aspect. We are two women in our 40s, and like you've just said at your work, your tolerance for bullshit is far lower. And my tolerance for bullshit this morning was really an all-time low.
was on zero.
Yeah.
I am fast-tempered anyway. My family would say she always loses a rag. I do lose my rag.
Okay.
That is, I am fiery by
Do you
nature.
resolve quickly?
Once I've said what I need to say, I'm fine. I can crack on. I can crack on. But that does not always resound the same way with other people, because my husband is the opposite. So I might say what I want to say and crack on with my day and be like, how you doing, and be fine. He might have to simmer on it for a long time.
Okay, yeah.
So you find that because everybody's different, I might say exactly what I'm thinking at that moment because I'm pissed off. Especially like in a situation, say like at work, something might have pissed me off, and I would react to it, and react straight away. And the person that I have reacted to like that might be someone who has to go away and think about it, and it might piss them off all day. Whereas I'd be pissed off for 5 minutes, then I'm fine.
But that's what we're talking. What we're talking about there is personality types and how we react generally. But
I think I'm worse at the minute.
Okay,
because
that's my bigger question.
Yeah.
Does that grief just underpin our experience of everything around us?
I think it
all
does.
of the time, or some of the time.
I think some of the time, not all of the time.
Yeah, because actually, it'd be quite easy, wouldn't it, to be like, actually, I'm sorry, I've been an arsehole this morning. It's because of my grief. It's because of my grief monkey on my shoulder. But I also think that we're not always acutely aware of it. Do you know what I mean?
100%. I think that with a lot of things, people don't realise the way they're acting. Is that what you mean? Is that what you're getting at?
We're not allowed to use it as an excuse, but are we allowed to try and fathom that it actually might be present, although it's not really apparent to us? Or is that an excuse?
That sounds like a good excuse to me. But I definitely think that sometimes it takes people to point out. I'm quite self-aware, so I know when I've gone off on one. And then I go, oh, God, sorry about that. And then,
my wrist.
then I'm quite aware. And if I'm out of order, if I'm wrong, I will apologise.
I will as well. Yeah,
but if I'm not, I ain't apologising for shit.
I'm very much like that. And I know we don't know each other in that way. I've never seen you lose your temper. You've not seen me lose mine. But you know that
there's still time to it.
But I feel the same. So like if I do lose my temper with somebody, even if they're in the wrong, if I've lost my temper and I think it's absolutely not warranted, I will say sorry for my behaviour. I will, 100%. However, I've got a massive issue with things that are unjust. So
I'm exactly the same.
If there's an injustice somewhere, even if it's not my own,
I'm fighting it.
I'm fighting. I'm fucking in head first. I'm like, ah! You know, like absolutely. Just
we are exactly the same in that respect. And they say to me at work,
and rudeness, I can't handle it.
They say to me, I'm challenging.
Yeah,
because
and then this is it. Isn't it interesting? You're a woman, so you're challenging.
Yes. Oh God, poor men. They're back under the cosh.
It's not the same, is it? Because if you find something unjust as a man, you're probably expected to fight it, right? And a lot of men might not want to. So it might be just as equally as toxic for them as it is for a woman. But I do find that kind of that injustice in any way, for whatever form it comes in. So, you know, if you team that with some grief, you've just got a real fire in your belly.
A real rage going on.
See my social media post on my own social media the other day about my gym experience?
No.
Okay, now this is a great example. So I don't know whether I'm slightly hormonal this week or whether I'm just fucked off or tired or I miss my dad and I miss my mom. And I always do. It'll make me cry instantly. It is, I know it resides in me and is always there. However, so I am on a piece of gym equipment, okay? And there is no one else in the gym, not a single other human. It's a real small gym. I've got my headphones on and in between reps on this machine, doing some arm things.
Yeah.
And a man stands in front of me, waves to get my attention, so I had to take off my headset. And he said, "Are you using this piece of kit?" And I said,
"Are you visually challenged?"
Honestly, so you've not seen my post. This is what I said on my post. I was like, "Are you fucking blind?" Right? I did not say this to him, but in my soul, I wanted to. I wanted to say it to him, but I didn't. I just looked at him. I said, "Yes, And I put my headphones back on and I looked away from him. And the guy then proceeded to stand next to me, and I'm talking within breath's distance, and huff and puff as loudly as he could the entire time I was on that machine. And so what I did is I stayed on it. And this is because I felt that was unjust. I just didn't feel, I felt he was rude. Like, use your imagination and go and work out on something else. There's no one else in the gym. Don't be a dick to me. But I found myself this week just being like that about everything. Like, and my tolerance is really low, but I'm getting more sleep than I did, you know? So I can't really blame it on that. But maybe it's age as well. What do you think?
I think as we get older, we tolerate less.
I don't know. It's a weird one.
I mean, there are a lot of dicks in the gym.
Oh, this guy, honestly, like, he's the kind of person, if I saw him again, I don't
Bash a dumbbell in his face.
Yeah, shut up. So it brings me to my next, like, I've written notes about this, and this gets it's a bit more personal. But I think, you know, does grief or trauma manifest physically and make us unwell? Right?
I think we both agree that it does.
We agree that it does, because we've both read fairly broadly on the subject. And I know for myself, you and I both have autoimmune disease, not something we've discussed on the podcast before. And I have not been very well in the last few years. Is that informed by our grief? Does it get worse? Did you find when you lost your brother, your health suffered?
My condition is sometimes triggered by stress, and I do definitely think I'm sporting a nice eczema rash on my arm as part of my autoimmune problem. I definitely think it's got worse. It comes in flares, goes. I know that I have got family members who have got medical conditions after losing somebody.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was because of the stress, either the stress that the body was under during times of grief and during the stressful period, or the trauma leading up to death of a loved one. I think there's a definite link, and I definitely think in the past, my health has been affected by it. Funnily, I felt worse whilst my brother was ill, and I knew he was nearing the end of his life. Yeah. And actually, once he had died, my health almost improved slightly.
Yeah, because you were relieved, not in a way that you wanted to see him die, but you didn't want to see him suffer anymore. I felt exactly the same with my dad. Exactly the same. And my mum. It's so hard because you feel really guilty about it. But I often think, you know, without getting into the nitty-gritty too much and making the whole episode about it, because it's not about that, but so my dad had problems with his memory. He had problems with recalling words. He had problems with his gait when he was walking. These are all really typical things with Alzheimer's. So 2.5 years ago, I was told I'd had a stroke. I spent a week on a stroke ward, and my speech suffered and my gait was affected, and I lost my balance, and all these things happened. And, you know, is there a strange mirroring of what I'm experiencing with my dad, which makes it very psychosomatic or certainly psychological, which is what they then tried to suggest to me. Just for the record, I apparently did not have a stroke, but, you know, it was something else, another neurological condition. But isn't it interesting that our psyche can take on so much before it starts to behave in a different way? Yeah, I guess that's my point. Was that a really long-winded way of getting to my point?
No, it wasn't. But like, I totally agree. I definitely think that it massively has an impact, and I think you can see that everywhere. Like, for instance, they say take two elderly people who've been married for a really long time, and one of them dies, and they say that the other one is not long behind because they die of a broken heart.
Yeah,
and like, there is actually a syndrome called broken heart syndrome.
Yes,
but it's not that you don't normally die from it if they catch it early enough. You can live from it, the syndrome itself. And I don't know enough about it because I'm not a doctor, but grief can make somebody so unwell and put the body under so much stress for short periods of time that if there is an underlying issue, if somebody is elderly and perhaps they've got high blood pressure, why wouldn't they drop dead if they're under massive amounts of pressure
I think,
from losing a loved one.
we know that we produce cortisol, don't we, when we're under a lot. So the eye condition that I have is from an overproduction of cortisol.
Which is the stress hormone.
Yeah. And this is actually no word of a lie. When I first was diagnosed with it, because I thought I was losing my sight, so I went straight into A&E and everything. Once they'd explained to me what was happening, and at this time I hadn't lost part of my vision, but I have done since, they said, "Are you stressed?" And I thought, who isn't fucking stressed?
Yeah.
Right?
Are you living in 2021?
and it made me think, and then he said to me, is there a way you could, reduce your stress levels?
Like it's that easy.
But actually, what they're saying isn't incorrect. It's just not that practical. It's not really giving you a go. And I was just like, yeah, would you come and look after my babies? You want to do that?
Yeah, and go to work for me.
Yeah. But we know that the mind-body physiology definitely has. So it has the body has a reaction to inflammation. The body has a reaction to cortisol production. I'm no doctor, for absolutely not. But I think what I'm getting at is we know that there are really physical things that happen as a result of us being stressed.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to hear from anybody on this as well. Anybody listening?
Think they're linked. They've got to be. They've got to be linked. I wonder how many people who have suffered a big loss in their life, whether it's through death or whether it's through anything else, has triggered an illness.
Yeah.
That would be interesting
to find out. If that's you, let us know. And my next question is, do we have any control over it?
I think the easiest thing in the world would be to try and control everything. And definitely I'd love to be able to.
Fail.
Yeah. But I think a good lesson for me when I hurt my shoulder and was unwell and had an injury, I thought, I'm ready to go back to work. And then I lost my brother. And I felt like it happened at the same time. My shoulder wasn't getting any better.
Yeah.
And it isn't now until, funeral's over, he's gone. I've had some time afterwards. And actually my shoulder is really good now. So much better than it was. And it felt like a mind-body moment where...
Well, maybe it's because your mind knew that you would not give yourself the time off because you're that kind of person who'd have just felt really guilty. So it just gave you something else.
Yeah. And
I believe that.
I think that's how it works.
I really do. I think that the neurological thing that's been going on with me, I think I can, I can't do everything that I used to do a couple of years ago, not as well, but much better than I did just 12 months ago. But I think it now has a way of my body assesses what I've decided to do. She's gone to the gym, she's gone to the supermarket. Oh no, that's enough.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be really fucking dizzy for the rest of the day. So it has a way of stopping you before you've done too much because your brain
won't allow it. Yeah.
You're not deciding that for yourself.
Yeah, because I am somebody who just goes and goes and goes. And like I said before, I literally would not put, although my advice to anybody else would be take some time off, rest. I am not somebody who finds that easy to do.
I think we're certainly conditioned, aren't we, culturally to just carry on.
I think we're conditioned to think that the only way to be successful is to work a fucking long week and to take on all the extra responsibility of extracurricular things, do other things, have a social life,
sounds like there's
have
an
lots
agenda
of fun.
there,
Do you know what I mean? I think we're conditioned to believe that is what our measure of success as a human being. Yeah. And actually, the most successful thing for me would be to have a really nice work-life balance, to be able to actually relax, because I'm quite highly strung when I want to be.
Oh, yeah.
Have you noticed?
Mm-hmm.
And in turn, that would give me a healthier life and a healthier body.
Yeah. It's a funny old world, isn't it, these days? Because I think you're absolutely right. We are just conditioned and driven to work.
And then die.
And so many people do, don't they? They just retire
and not even get
and
your fucking pension.
Yeah.
Most people,
that's
of people
the whole
die.
Agenda, a
government.
I wasn't going to use the word, but like a higher power just going, let's keep these wheels in motion until they just die.
Yeah, and let's just take money off them every month and pretend we're going to give it to them at the end, but actually they're going to be dead, so we're going to keep it.
And we'll just tax it. Yeah, exactly that.
Absolutely.
How can we tell if what we're upset about is really what we're upset about? This was another question that I've been pondering. So sometimes children do this a lot, but I think adults do as well. So my child is upset about, I'll use my son as an example. He's upset because he's coughing, and he's annoyed by his cough. My cough hurts, Mummy. I don't want to cough anymore. Make it stop. And then he'll get tired, and then he'll be annoyed by his cough. And so then he catastrophizes everything else. So he'll find all of the little negatives throughout his day and be upset about that and about that. And I do it. I know I do it. But sometimes I'm like shedding tears. I don't really know why. And I'm like, it must be because I'm in grief about my dad or about all the other people I've lost or about my mom from 10 years ago. It must be that. And then I'm like, or is it that ex-boyfriend who you've not got over?
Yeah.
How can we tell what we're truly upset about?
I don't know.
It's a good question though, isn't it? Do you think anyone could really answer it and own, can we be that self-exploratory that we just go, I recognise my sadness. I want to give it this treatment, and I want to say, I am upset because I lost my dad. I am upset because I lost whoever. But actually, I'm actually just upset about something else. That's just a more convenient thing.
We need a psychologist. We need our local psychologist, Emma.
Yeah, we do.
Johnson,
we do.
Johnson.
Yeah.
If she could answer that would be great. We
Yeah.
should have her on as a guest so she could answer those
really
questions.
Good. We should bring her on for Drinks and Death.
Yes, definitely.
And that is a good question. But yeah, how do we know?
I don't know. I know.
Truly introspective as a person.
Yeah, I think because I react so often to how I'm feeling. I know why I'm feeling like that because I'm reacting to it right now. But then I say I'm fiery, and I am, but I am quite a deep person, and I think if somebody hurts my feelings or I'm upset about something, I very much keep that to myself. If I'm angry or I think something is unjust, I will tell you there and then, and I will get it out. But if I'm hurt and feeling sad about it, I tend to take myself away.
I think that's true of a lot of us though, isn't it? Because it's, again, going back to one of the first things, it's easier to be angry.
Yeah.
It's much easier to act in anger, isn't it? Yeah. And the last thing I was thinking about is how does it affect our relationships? How does grief affect our relationships, and how does our behaviour in grief affect our relationships? I don't just mean your partner. I mean all of our relationships.
Yeah, massively. And if you think about all the people we've met during the podcast, all the lovely people we've interviewed, a lot of them, when they've lost somebody, it has triggered a change in their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And whether that be they have left a partner or moved on,
ended a relationship,
or whether it be that they find that the friends they have had are not serving them in the way they should, and that they've sort of changed their priority and their feeling on things, and maybe the way someone's reacted to them when they're in grief has made them feel differently about them long term. It is a time for, like death is always, a time for new beginning.
Yeah. I think, I don't know about you, but I find it personally, even having had counselling, so I find it quite difficult to talk to somebody about the loss I've experienced if I know that they never have.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
I think, well, this is perfect. A perfect example of that is the New Normal charity.
Yeah.
Peer support is built on people who have the same experience. And I think it's human nature to want to seek out somebody who gets you, who understands where you're coming from, who is able to say, well, have you thought maybe that's grief?
Because it's an unbreakable bond. The minute you meet somebody new and you know that they have lost somebody significant to them, I don't know if it's true of everybody, but how I feel is I'm like, I know that you and I are going to have a shared experience that, not everyone in this room will have, which means that you and I will be able to bond. It's not always the case, of course. They might be an arsehole.
Absolutely.
But, it stands a really good chance if you meet somebody with a similar set of circumstances as you, that you're going to form a bond with that person and make a relationship with them. And the same is true when you meet somebody who hasn't. For me, I find it much more difficult to express myself to them, or I probably would withhold how I feel.
We don't want to make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We don't want to put them in a position.
This is our whole podcast idea is normalising conversations around death, and we're not the first people to do it by any means, but
maybe we're doing them a disservice that maybe it's our problem because maybe it's I can't connect with you, and I'm not even going to give you
I'm
the
worried
opportunity.
about making you feel bad because I'm a nice person. But actually, that's not necessarily the right answer, is it? Sorry, you were saying I'll give you the opportunity.
Yeah, we don't give them the opportunity to say, to try and say the thing that they want to say, or say the right thing, or bond with us over that. We don't give them the opportunity because how can you understand how I feel? Because you haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
But then also there is that, that unequivocal look between people, and they sort of, how they, you say, oh, I feel like shit and I don't want to go out. And you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Me too,
yeah.
sweetheart. Do you know what I mean? So I can see both sides of it.
I think of an example of anybody I've ever met who isn't a counsellor, who I know hasn't had the same life experience that I've had, where I felt comfortable in talking to them. And there are people in my life that I can recall who haven't lost their parents or haven't lost friends or whatever, who I can relate to, but it's usually because they've experienced some kind of trauma that I know about. So it's easier really to talk to them because you don't, it sounds kind of callous, but you don't feel like it's something they can't bear.
Yeah.
Do you think
No,
that's true?
I mean, maybe it's the fear of being judged as well.
Yeah, or being pitted.
Yeah, and, people, like you say, if they've not experienced it, they go, right, well, you've had a couple of months now and you're still sad about this. Why?
Yeah, well, yes.
And they expect it to be over.
That's such a cultural norm, isn't it? Like really you get 2 months. In month 3, people are like, how you doing? You're like, well, I'm still sad. In 6 months, I'll still be sad. In a year, I'll still be sad. But,
I'm probably guilty of it myself. Before having lost anybody, I think maybe I can think of an instance where I probably wasn't as...
I think we can do it even if we have lost somebody, because it's not the person we've lost.
Yeah, yeah.
We are fallible. Humans are fallible. And, we only see life through our own subjective experience, don't we? So it's really hard to maintain being in that frame of mind for somebody else all of the time. Don't think we can. Do you think we can?
I don't know, the honest answer. So is it grief?
Is it grief is the question. And it's a question that I would ask all our listeners and to ask yourself, and maybe get in touch with us and let us know about it. But, if you are finding yourself angry, upset, pissed off, fighting unjust causes left, right and centre.
Scrapping in the gym
like I am. Ask yourself, is it grief? And maybe it's just part of a journey we go on where we constantly have to ask ourselves, is it grief, or am I just pissed off?
Or am I just a fiery bitch? Keep listening, guys.
Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning into It's a Death Sentence. Please keep listening to our weekly episodes.
And if you like our show, please like, share and subscribe.
We are dying to talk to you.